Homeownership used to be the default assumption for what a middle-class life looks like in America. Buy a house, build equity, retire comfortable. But the math on that assumption has changed dramatically in the past 5 years, and the income required to comfortably buy a median-priced home in 2026 is a number that puts it out of reach for the majority of American households. Here's what the actual numbers look like, and what to do depending on where you are. If you're in your late 20s or 30s and homeownership is something you want, you've probably felt the gap between how homeownership is talked about and what actually buying a house requires in 2026. The down payment, the closing costs, the monthly payment, the income requirement, put it all together, and the number is larger than most financial education prepared people for. And there's a layer of social pressure that makes this harder. If you're the age where you should be buying a house, renting can feel like falling behind, like something isn't working, like you're missing the on-ramp that your parents apparently found easily. But your parents bought into a market with different rates, different prices, and in many cases, different household income structures. The comparison isn't fair, and the shame that comes with it isn't earned. Let me give you the actual numbers on what affording a house in 2026 requires. Honestly, including the parts that are uncomfortable to say, and then let me tell you what to do based on where you are right now. The housing affordability crisis is not a personal financial failure distributed across millions of individual households. It's a supply, policy, and rate environment that has structurally changed the relationship between income and home prices. The National Association of Realtors Affordability Index measures whether a family earning the median household income can qualify for a mortgage on a median-priced home. In 2021, that index was at a comfortable 148. Families could comfortably afford the median home. By 2023 and into 2024, the index had dropped below 100 for the first time in decades, meaning the median family, by definition, could not comfortably afford the median home. The mechanism: home prices rose approximately 40% from 2020 to 2023. Mortgage rates went from historic lows of 3% to over 7%, a doubling that adds hundreds of dollars to monthly payments on any given price point. Median household income did not come close to keeping pace. The result is a structural affordability gap that is not closed by budgeting better. There's also a supply issue that's structural. Restrictive zoning in high-demand areas, builder capacity constraints, and the lock-in effect. Homeowners with 3% mortgages have no financial incentive to sell, which constrains existing home inventory and pushes prices higher in the face of ongoing demand. These are policy and market forces, not personal behavior. You can make the best possible financial decisions and still find homeownership out of reach in your current market at your current income. That is a real and documented situation for a large portion of the population in 2026. Here's the honest math on what you actually need to buy a home comfortably in 2026. I'm using realistic numbers, not best-case scenarios. The income requirement. The standard guideline is that your total housing payment, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and any HOA, should be no more than 28 to 30% of your gross monthly income. At current rates of approximately 6.5 to 7.5% on a 30-year fixed, a $400,000 home with 10% down produces a payment of approximately $2,900 to $3,100 a month, in most markets when you include taxes and insurance. To keep that at 28% of gross, you need a household income of roughly $130,000 to $140,000 a year. That number is above the U.S. median household income of approximately $74,000. At the median income, a comfortable purchase price is significantly lower, roughly $200,000 to $220,000. The median home price nationally was approximately $420,000 as of early 2025. That gap is the affordability crisis in numbers. The savings requirement, beyond the down payment, which at 10% on $400,000 is $40,000, you need closing costs of 2 to 5%, another $8,000 to $20,000. Emergency reserves that survive the purchase, and a buffer for the first year's inevitable home maintenance costs, typically budgeted at 1% of home value annually, so $4,000 on a $400,000 home. All in, buying a $400,000 home comfortably requires approximately $60,000 to $80,000 in savings, plus the qualifying income, plus a clean debt-to-income ratio below 43%. The debt-to-income requirement. Lenders look at your total monthly debt payments, student loans, car payments, credit card minimums, plus the new mortgage, as a percentage of gross monthly income. Most conventional loans cap this at 43 to 45%. If you have $600 a month in debt payments, that eats into your mortgage qualifications significantly. If you're close, income is there, savings are within 12 to 24 months of the target, keep building. Lower rate environments may return. First-time buyer programs in your state may reduce the down payment requirement. House prices in certain markets are softening. If you're not close, income gap is large, savings are starting from zero. The honest recommendation is to optimize where you are rather than sacrificing financial stability, chasing a purchase that would strain everything. Build the savings aggressively, eliminate high-interest debt, invest in a taxable brokerage if the housing timeline is uncertain, and revisit the numbers annually. Markets change. Now, I already know what some of you are thinking. Renting is throwing money away. This phrase is so common that most people accept it without question, and it is, to be direct, not accurate in the way people assume. Renting is not free. It pays for housing. Buying is not purely building equity. The first 10 to 15 years of a 30-year mortgage are heavily weighted toward interest payments, not principal. At 7% on a 30-year mortgage, over 70% of your first year of payments goes to interest. You're building equity slowly while also paying property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and the interest cost of carrying a large loan. In high-cost markets, renting and investing the difference in the stock market has outperformed buying in many 10-year periods when total costs are compared. Homeownership is not automatically a better financial decision than renting. It depends entirely on the price-to-rent ratio in your specific market, your timeline, and what you would do with the capital if you didn't buy. Here's what I want you to take from this. Affordability isn't pre-approval. Pre-approval tells you what a lender will give you. Affordability tells you what will let you sleep at night and still save for retirement and handle emergencies and live your life. The numbers I walk through aren't meant to discourage you. They're meant to give you an honest picture so you can make a real plan. Whether that's buying in 12 months or building toward it over 3 years, or deciding a different market or a different approach, makes more sense for your life. If this helped, subscribe. I put out one of these every week and they build on each other. And if you want to go deeper on who can actually afford to retire at 60, the real numbers, I linked that video right here. Watch that one next.